You know, it was an interesting thing because the fire, we were the last group here that really burnt. You know, the fire went on for like almost 2 weeks. And we could sit and watch, you know, what was coming up and, you know, the flames. I mean, you could see the flames and just all this craziness going on. And we were evacuated on June 14th with very short notice, like 20 minutes. You know, I mean, I got my reverse 911 call. 20 minutes later, the sheriff's deputy's at the door and going, "We got to go." And so, you know, I had the opportunity. I had 4 animals at the time to take animals, a tub of important papers, which included my insurance papers, which was a lucky choice for me, right? And a bag of clothes, and we just took off into town. Now, fortunately, I had people to stay with. And actually, the Wednesday before the house actually burnt, we had been up here for a meeting, you know, and they had said, "You know what, I think we got it. I think you guys will be home for the weekend." And so there was kind of a collective sigh of relief, to the point that the people that I was staying with, I took their children to a movie on Friday. We went to see Brave, which I think is kind of funny. Went to the movie thinking, okay, I'm gonna go home. And when I get out of the movie, my cell phone just went nuts. And I started listening to my messages, and people were going, "Boy, if you're a praying person, now's the time to do it. Things are really stepping up." And by the time we got back to these kids' parents' house, my house was burning on the news. And it was like, oh, what is this? So that was kind of the initial kick in the gut. But at the same time, I have to say, at least I knew mine was gone. A lot of my neighbors up here had to wait a week to find out. And then it was a matter of coming up here and really saying, whoa, what's this going to look like? And I came up. I chose to come by myself because I wasn't sure, you know, how or what it was even going to entail. And it was pretty amazing. I mean, when we drove up here, you know, because it was kind of, we were like in a little parade, you know. They gave us little hazmat suits to put on. They had made sure that we had real thick soles on our shoes because the ground was still hot. And this was like maybe a week after the fire itself. And it was weird. I mean, I drive up in the driveway and there's nothing. You know, there's a big hole where I guess it would be my dishwasher. My refrigerator totally disintegrated. They could find no signs of my refrigerator at all. But the cool thing was, and probably one of the most amazing things for me, I tend to be a questioner, like, why do these things happen and what is this about? Is there a deeper meaning? And right over here, kind of right behind me, is I had a rock garden. And in my rock garden, I had a teak Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin is a goddess of compassion and mercy, and she's very much a part of my spiritual journey. And she was standing about 3 feet tall. And when I drive up in the driveway, she's still here. House is gone, garage is gone, nothing. You know, trees are gone, and there she's standing. And immediately to me, I was like going, okay, it's going to be okay, no matter what, and you don't know, you know, what the next step is, what the process even could begin to be, but it's like, okay, it's going to be okay. And shortly after the fire, because, you know, everybody would say, what do you need? And the answer was always, I need everything. So a friend of mine threw me a fire shower. So, you know, that was an opportunity. I mean, I actually went and registered, like at Target and Bed Bath & Beyond, and said, here's what I would like. And I was also like, you don't have to bring me new things. You know, if you have an extra pair of scissors, I could use it, that kind of thing. My house was right behind me, and it was just a typical A-frame cedar home. And then my garage would be over to the left a little bit, and it also was about the same size as the house, actually. They both were about 2,000 square feet. And then over here, like I was saying, was my rock garden, and then I just had a forest. You know, there were 30 plus trees that are just no longer there.
So you had this fabulous view.
So I had this fabulous view, and over to the left where that one post is I had a hot tub, which was lovely. So I could sit outside. In fact, when we talk about being able to see Cheyenne, 4th of July, 9:30, I could sit out in that hot tub, right? And just watch the fireworks and say, there it is, you know. So it was lovely. I mean, this lifestyle, living on the mountains, was a real dream for me. and the community that we had here. This 12th filing had a very tight-knit community. We still get together quite often, and certainly right after the fire we kind of moved as a pod. You know, I think it's a wounded community, and I think that's one of the challenges when we do get together, is not to just focus on the fire and the loss and all of that. I mean, we always have to touch on it, but you know, life goes on kind of thing, and trying to support. And of course, some people do better than others. You know, I think I was real fortunate. I'm pretty resilient, and I made, well, I was able to because I'm self-employed. I could kind of set my own schedule. The rest of the summer after the fire, dealing with the insurance company and doing my content list and whatever pretty much became my #1 focus. So I walked, you know, right through that, where there are still people that are just now finishing theirs up 2 years later. So I think that would be a little more challenging. Some of the people that were living up here, this was maybe their second home. You know, this is the second home they've ever lived in. I've lived in more than I care to even share, right? So I'm not so attached always to the house or to the things. Although I will say, and I know everybody says this, well, it's just stuff, and of course, but your stuff becomes much more important than you realize once you've lost it all. You know, Christmas, really strange, not having ornaments, not having kids' ornaments, or, you know, whatever, and going where your tradition goes. The day before we were evacuated, a friend of mine said, do you want to borrow my truck? Because I just had a small car, and take something into town. And I took my artwork. Why I chose that, who knows, but I accept that I do have, you know, a lot of people who, friends and family who are artistic, so these were originals, right? So I took them into town, and you know, I had a little office in town at the time, and stashed them there. And I have to tell you, when I moved to my new house and I was able to put that artwork up, it was like, oh, I am home. It made a huge difference, you know, because it was something that I could really hold on to, that represented being home, you know, because there was nothing else. So it really changes or has changed my attitude about things and their importance, and some things certainly are, and then some things aren't. You know, you get to make that choice a little bit easier, I think.